Jordan Peterson is kind of a controversial figure. He has a lot of fans. He also has a lot of enemies. But one thing cannot be denied. He's absolutely destroying it on YouTube right now.
Disavow 150 videos on YouTube.
He is employing some tactics that we've dissected that I'm going to share with you over the course of this video. And if you guys are paying attention, very close attention, you're going to learn some things that are probably going to shake you to your core. How's that for a hook?
I can't tell you all the details yet.
But in all seriousness, if you guys take what I'm about to tell you and start implementing it into your YouTube strategies, not only are you going to grow on YouTube, but you're probably also going to get people to just hang on every single one of your words. This is a powerful tool for all aspects of your life. Let's get into it. There's one thing that Dr. Peterson is taking advantage of that not a lot of other people know is actually skyrocketing views and success on YouTube right now. That is the long form podcast format. He's producing content that's 90 minutes, 100 minutes. He's doing this ultra long form content. If you guys haven't noticed, YouTube is making a concerted effort to present the platform as a podcast friendly platform. They're trying to attract podcast hosts over because they know that if they can get people to create 90-minute pieces of content and people to watch or listen to that content, they can play like 100 ads over the course of that amount of time. Actually, that would be a lot, but a significant portion. They can make more ad revenue. So Dr. Peterson is absolutely destroying it because he is hosting his podcast on YouTube. But if you think that simply hosting a podcast on YouTube is going to do the trick for you, that's not quite it. Jordan also speaks in what we call segmented sound bites. This means that he articulates points in very condensed chunks, which makes it really easy to clip those chunks out and turn them into sound bites. Basically, he speaks in sound bites. So in reality, if you want to be a better YouTuber, learn to speak more fluidly and in more condensed chunks. There's a few things that kind of lend to this ability in Dr. Peterson. Number one, he is a certifiable genius. He is brilliant. He was a professor. Being a professor alone gives you a whole lot of opportunity to speak and learn how to speak to influence, right? If you think about it, if you're in a lecture hall speaking to students and every now and then you get the students to go, oh, wow, right? They're giving you that instant feedback. You learn pretty quickly how to speak in order to get that feedback. And Dr. Peterson does a masterful job of doing this on YouTube, just like he probably did in his classrooms. The next thing that he does is actually really genius, and I've only heard a few influencers or creators talking about this. He allows other people to clip his content into sound bites. So he has this ubiquitous presence because other people are using his content to fuel their channels. Even like right now, we're playing sound bites and clips from Dr. Peterson's speeches, knowing that he's not going to copyright claim us.
And so what's the consequence of that?
He wants his personal brand to get out there, and so he's allowing other people to clip his content. Now, I have a little more relaxed perspective on copyright claims. I'm generally not too much of a stickler if someone takes my content and clips it up into chunks to use it, because I'm trying to build a personal brand. If I was an artist or if my livelihood was based off of my YouTube content, I'd probably be a little bit more strict. So, secret tactic for you, if you want your content to get out there further, encourage people to steal it, clip it, repurpose it, use it, and post it on their own channels. It'll probably do more good for your brand than it will harm you. And honestly, one of the ways that we grew our company to a multi-million-dollar company is by being charitable, not being a stickler, understanding that the pie is big enough for everybody. And the more my name gets out there in a valuable way, the more my brand grows and people come back to me. So if I allow people to take our content and blow it up, then I'm putting good karma out there that's going to come back to me. Now, everything that I've told you up to this moment doesn't really matter unless you really understand how to use the tools that Dr. Peterson illustrates in all of his content. He does a couple of things with his content delivery that I think is absolutely brilliant and that we can all learn from. Number one, he's a contrarian, meaning that he is actively producing content that is contrary to the way that a lot of people think. Now, this can be polarizing, but polarizing isn't always necessarily a bad thing. Think about anybody that you've ever watched as a creator, or the most successful creators. They generally have a lot of people who dislike them. This is what I call the enemy effect. When you have a contingent of people who identify as your enemies, you will also have a contingent of people who identify as your followers, as your tribe. And these people are willing to go to battle for you. If you can create an enemy out of something, someone, some group, or some ideology, you are much more likely to trigger an identity among people who you want to be your followers. And these people will be so much more loyal. If you don't believe that, just look at what politicians do when they create enemies. Donald Trump had one of the most loyal bases of any president in modern history. Same with Barack Obama. It's because they both created enemies out of the opposing party's views. If you want to learn more about that, I highly encourage you to watch my How to Create a Cult video that was all focused on how Ben Shapiro has a cult-like following. I hope you find it mind-blowing. There's some really good stuff in there. The other thing Jordan does really well is argue. He knows his information so well, people can't argue with him. He makes such well-articulated points, and he is constantly stumping people who are interviewing him or people who are trying to argue with him. Just check out some of these clips.
Why do I have the authority to determine what I say? What kind of question
Why do
is
you have
that?
the authority? Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a person's right not to be offended?
You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? Ha, gotcha.
I want to stop being a pathetic weasel.
Yeah, that would be good. Clean up your room. I don't know how you can go out and protest the structure of the entire economic system if you can't keep your room organized.
Actually rather difficult to answer a question that ends with your comments are banal politely. I would consider that more of an opinionated personal and political statement than actually a question.
The final thing that Dr. Peterson has going for him that I think is understated, but one of the most important aspects of having a personal brand, is that he is eccentric and he has a style that is very recognizable. His haircut never changes. He's always wearing a suit. He always has a poise that is exactly the same no matter who he's talking to. He gets emotional. He's eccentric. I think I may have already said that, but he's built a brand that is easy to recognize. No matter where he's at, if you hear his voice or you see his face, you know exactly who he is and you know exactly what you're going to get.
I don't know what that means.
If you want to have as successful of a personal brand as Dr. Peterson, there's a couple things that you need to keep in mind. Number one is something about you that you're wearing or a style that you're promoting that is easy to recognize. If you're constantly adapting to whatever the norm is of the moment, then you are going to be forgettable. If you look at anybody who's successful, they typically always have something that is familiar every time they are presented. Look at Gary Vaynerchuk and his t-shirt, Elon Musk and the way that he dresses, Elton John, Elvis Presley. The more recognizable your style is, the more recognizable you will be as well. If you want to emphasize the style, passion is the next thing that you need to have. Passion for whatever it is that you're promoting, passion for your mission, passion for the things that you're arguing for, passionate about your base, passionate about the causes that your base identifies with. Passion is key to emotion, and emotion is the key to people's hearts. That should be like a country song or something. Passion is the key to your hearts. Oh dear, passion is the key to your hearts. Oh man. And the final aspect of personal branding that nothing else matters without is consistency. You have to be consistently showing up. Dr. Peterson doesn't miss an episode. He's constantly promoting content. His content is all over the internet. He is ubiquitous. Ubiquitous? Is that the word that I'm looking for? Ubiquitous definition.
Definition of ubiquitous: present, appearing, or found everywhere.
Perfect. Yep. He's ubiquitous because he's consistent. Hey, thank you guys for watching. If you want more awesome content, watch this one. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks. Bye.